Hello and welcome to another episode of Alex's Afternoon Art Show. Today we are drawing Sakura from the Street Fighter series, and yeah, we're still continuing the Marvel vs. Capcom 2 mural. This is, I believe, our 7th one. There are many children outside, so you can probably expect to be hearing a little bit of them throughout this as well. We've got a few guest appearances happening, it seems. Okay, I'm not exactly about to open the window and start giving out to them. Probably should, but I'm not going to. I'm not that old yet that I can get away with that, I think. Okay, so the mural hasn't really changed since last time, since we did Captain America. But yeah, I suppose I should remove a lot of these characters so you don't get too much of an impression of what's going on. Again, these are all base sketches, so I mean, there's all, obviously they're all just overlapping and all this stuff, so just turn off the ones that aren't needed as I'm going. And yeah, I don't know why I keep leaving the base or the background layer on, because there really is no point. I'll leave that on. Then I'll turn off, what else? So, yeah. So I'm gonna have to do a little. I don't really have to do much work on her hands. I was thinking to myself, oh, I might have to redo some bits of her hands because they're very non-detailed. But she does have the same gloves as Ryu, so I don't really have to worry too much about that. Her head shape is a little weird, and I think that's primarily because of like the reference. I had a reference image for the face, nothing else. Or I think I had body reference, but I didn't really use it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I used it in part. This is again blended reference that I'm using here. Blended with reference blended with just kind of figuring it out as I go. But yeah, depending on which game you look at here, or whether you look at in-game or in art, Sakura's skirt changes length quite dramatically. I think that's also partially up to the artist. But I've kind of made it a little bit more accurate to how it is in-game, which is it's kind of a reasonable length. But I have to add like definition to each section of the skirt, because the skirt has like different sections to it. That type of skirt for it, because of the lines, it kind of adds this different kind of fold to it. But yeah, I'm trying to think of any other foregrounding here I need to do. But yeah, we'll have to start with the hair, and the hair is obviously much the same as Ryu because it's a very similar character. Much the same as Ryu, the hair not quite so easy. because yeah, it's kind of that anime-ish hair where it's kind of all little spikes and frills that kind of go off everywhere. But I think I'm actually going to need to change parts of it because the top of her hair is kind of supposed to be a little flatter. I feel like her head looks too big here, just in general. So I might see what I can do about that. But yeah, well, let's get into it here. Again, I've kind of touched on this a little bit, I suppose, already, but I don't really love Sakura's design all that much. It's very iconic. but I feel like it's kind of lacking something. It feels kind of, I don't know, I suppose generic to me. It's very similar to Ryu's design, but just translated to kind of the Japanese schoolgirl outfit, which again I don't love. I don't love whenever stories overused. It always makes me kind of, I don't know. I always feel like, where's this going? I don't know. But yeah, one thing though is that it's obviously not exactly just a Japanese schoolgirl outfit. There's bits that have been changed and all this, but yeah, no, I do feel like it's a design which is kind of, it lends itself quite well to very kind of dynamic movement, which obviously works very well in game animation and all this stuff. So it's a very well thought out design. I'm a big fan of how they actually redesigned it for Street Fighter V. I think it looks a lot better there. I like the kind of the newer outfit they gave her in that, because it works a little better for me, I think, and it still keeps all the same kind of principles. Maybe a little less colourful, but you know, what are you gonna do? But yeah, I do kind of enjoy how they kind of, I suppose, leveled up the design. But yeah, this is a design that lends itself very well to kind of, as I say, dynamic movement, which makes for a lot of these fun poses of where you've got the headband whirling, and then you've got the kind of the little scarf flaring, and then the skirt and the shirt and all this stuff. All this stuff kind of moves and flows with wind. It's very similar to how with Ryu's gi, it's a little heavier. It's not quite just a gi that sits. It like bunches around the waist and all this stuff, so whenever he's moving all this, it kind of flaps and folds and all this stuff, so it looks a little bit more interesting whenever he's doing his movements, and it's the same kind of thing here with Sakura. I'll just say this now, some amount of expression here is a little odd. Her face is a little long. Shouldn't be that long. Her face should be kind of a little smaller and rounder, but obviously that's just kind of how the cookie has crumbled here, and I'm not about to change it now. So I'm just, I suppose, drawing attention to it so that it doesn't come across as something that I've forgotten. I didn't forget it, it's just not something I can really change at this point. I mean, I could go back and restructure the whole face and all this stuff, but that would take a little bit of time. Time which I don't have all of, really. I'm not as scarce on time as I was the last time, but still not exactly flush with it, as I never am, really. Never got all the time in the world, and I do prefer to do these in a quicker kind of amount of time, just to kind of get on with my day. I enjoy doing these and all, it's just that I have other things to be doing sometimes. It's not even necessarily that I have other more important things to be doing, it's just that I have other things to do. And yeah, just defining this skirt now, as I said I would earlier on, because I've got the little bits of definition at the bottom here. Maybe I should emphasize a touch more in certain places. Yeah, that contributes to certain little bits of folding and all this stuff. And then just tidy up our lines a touch. And then indent here, because I didn't do it before. And yeah. Now, so that is details done on Sakura. And yeah, I think actually, you know what? I think it actually came out a lot better than the initial base sketch. It still kind of captures the energy of it, and that was the kind of thing I wanted. Because, again, as I've been talking about, this character kind of lends herself to a bit more dynamic movement and all this stuff. And also, so something which I didn't mention is the proportions of the character. Because obviously, you know, she's supposed to be. I don't really exactly know how old she's supposed to be, but I assume, given the, you know, school outfit, I would assume that she's supposed to be teen of some variety. And so decided to make her a little smaller and stockier, as someone who hasn't finished growing yet would have those kind of proportions. But yeah, still looking a little bit mature. But yeah, like again, I made her legs a little shorter and her feet a little bit kind of, I don't know, like, the word I was going to use there was squishier, but I don't think that's the right term here. That sounds a little strange. But I made her feet a little bit kind of more squished down. Saying like not quite the same as her hands. Her hands are a little bit kind of squished down. And yeah, stuff like her legs are a little shorter than, say, they would otherwise be, and her arms as well. But yeah, that was the kind of thing there. So I'll move on to the dots, but I'm going to take a very quick break today. I have enough time to do that, I believe. Yep, there's 62%, and then grab the brush, make the brush the right size so we don't have to do it later. 20 pixels. And then there we are. So I shall be back shortly. Alright, I'm back. So yeah, onto the dots. Now, this is something, again, I've talked people to death. I think I've talked to people to death about this at this point. But yeah, as I always say, you should never kind of go too heavy on the dots. But the whole thing with the dots is, yeah, you want to shade things appropriately with them. So it's a case of where stuff like, I don't know, skin shouldn't be shaded as heavily as something. You should, the thing which I always talk about is that you should consider the material of a given thing. So for example, here, skin, no matter what color it is, should always be shaded lighter than say something that's like denim, or something which is like a canvas material. Any kind of clothing material should be shaded harsher than skin. And again, skin shouldn't be shaded that harshly. It should be fairly kind of simple, lighter shading. And yeah, again, I feel like I've talked you to death about this at this point, and here obviously should be shaded a little heavier than skin, but not too heavily, because you don't want it to look too dark. Again, you'd shade darker hair darker, but this is supposed to be brown. Sakura's hair, so it shouldn't be too dark on the shading. And yeah, bits like this should maybe be shaded a little bit, just to say that this is, we're just emphasizing the depth of this a little bit more. But yeah, as I say, I've said this a million times, and I'll probably end up saying it a million more. It's just something to keep in mind. Always be aware of it. Okay, there's our dots. Very quickly kind of skimmed through that. And so now we've got the colours. And again, our colours here shouldn't be too bad. There's a lot of white in this design. I'm trying to think now of what is going to be our background colour for Sakura. Because so far, yeah, each character's had a background colour. Like obviously, so with Ryu it was red, Wolverine it was yellow, Cyclops blue, all this stuff. But yeah, with Sakura I'm not really sure what it'll be. because I would think white maybe, because again, kind of portrayed as a very innocent character, so I suppose it would make sense. But I don't know, maybe because white won't play very well as a background color. Won't be very interesting. I'll have to give Sakura the same skin color as for you. But yeah, I don't think that'll play very well, white. I don't really want it to be blue either, because a lot of them have been blue. Maybe I'll use like a pinky red. Because we're already going to have red in there, and it will be a slightly oranger red, I think. It's usually portrayed as such. Yeah, you know, I could maybe make it a little sweeter, a little bit of a sweeter red. I think that'll work. I think that'll work for us. Okay, let's do this. Now, there's our colors, and yep, I don't know if I should really go into the whole spiel about how colors should be very vibrant and all this stuff again. I feel like I've kind of already talked to that point. I don't know how necessary it is for me to go over it again. But yeah, I suppose, like, Sakura's colors are slightly different than Ryu's in a sense. So her white is slightly skewed more blue, whereas Ryu's white is slightly skewed more yellow. Her gloves are slightly skewed more orange, or more pink, whereas Ryu's gloves are slightly skewed more orange. So I just decided to have slight little deviations from what I did with Ryu, so that her colors don't look exactly the same as his whenever the gradient map goes on later on. It's very slight, but it is something that will pick up in a gradient map. So subtlety is key in a lot of this stuff, so that's the thing. That's just, I suppose, my little note there. Okay, so the shading's on the right. Okay, so I'll do the shading very quickly here, and then I'll do the what's it called? The light line, and then we will be done. Okay, there's our shading. Now we've got to do the light line, and then we're done. So yeah, again, I don't think I've talked about this in a little while, but sometimes the colors that I choose, I suppose, just don't take too well to the purple and the yellow. Sometimes it really just comes down to it that purple doesn't come out very well in certain colors, and yellow doesn't come out very well on others, like purple and yellow. So for example, here the scarf is yellow, so the yellow doesn't really come out all that much. You can see it a little bit. You can see that it's lighter, but not really by that much. It's kind of, you can miss it. But the purple kind of comes out as like a dull color on yellow as well. Purple comes out well on, purple and yellow both come out well on red and blue, as well as kind of flesh tones, and kind of browns as well. So most of our other colors look fine. Even the white, you can still see the yellow. It's a little fainter, but you can still see it. And yeah, our light line is on the dark side. But yeah, we'll just very quickly run through this, and then we'll be done. Now, there is Sakura done. Yeah, that's all our colors done on Sakura. Zoom out a little bit, put it up to 25, and then we'll turn on our other characters and see how she stacks up. There we got Kyle, we've got Jill, we've got Ryu. Got 4 Capcom characters now. And so then we can add Wolverine, we can add Cyclops, we can add Captain America. So yep, this is starting to fill up a little bit. And yeah, there we've got a nice little lineup so far, and they're all very colourful, and they all look decent on white as well. I should actually remove Guile for a second just so I can see everything. Yep, that all looks good. She's looking fine. Okay, so that is our video. And again, as the sun sets, which is something which I've said about 40 times now I think during these, but yeah, I don't want to linger too long on doing outros or anything like that, because it's not really necessary to go too into detail. We don't really need to wrap up or anything like that during these, because I don't go into many topics, so to kind of talk about the design. We did talk a little bit about the kind of normal things though, colors, kind of shading, bits like that. So we kind of had our normal little conversation topics that we usually go into. But yeah, I think everything's starting to shape up nicely with our little mural here. We're what, 7 characters in? 4, 3, yep, 7. 7 characters in. And yeah, I think we're all the colors are nice and diverse. A lot of blue so far. But yeah, that'll kind of equalize as we go along. But yeah, if you like the video, do what you normally do. No pressure here. Just whatever you would normally do, whether that be nothing or liking the video. I'd prefer if you liked it, but I don't mind. Subscribe if you want. Same principle. If you want to see more of these videos, you should probably subscribe. But you can just watch casually, I suppose. It doesn't hurt me none. But and yeah, if you decide to watch the next video, I'll see you then. But yeah, I'll just say goodbye. So, bye bye.